Win big in 2024 with Team Sync from RotoBaller. Import your fantasy teams and sync your leagues. Get customized tools and tailored advice for your specific rosters and scoring settings, including live recommendations from the Live Draft Assistant, Free Agent Finder, and Lineup Optimizer. Sync an unlimited amount of NFL, MLB, NBA, and NHL fantasy teams from all of the major fantasy platforms. Get a discount for any premium pass using my promo code Knuckler. Just visit rotoballer.com/radio and start rotoballing like a boss. This podcast is also brought to you by Parlay Play Fantasy Sports. Use my referral code RotoBrady. Get a sweet, sweet deposit bonus. They're giving out bonuses and slashing lines all day. Check it out. It's a fun platform. And what is up, everybody? This is Brady Grove bringing you another interlude episode of RotoBaller's official MMA podcast. Tap that.
Absolute war. Unbelievable fight.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 5 full rounds, we go to the judges' scorecards for the decision. All judges see the contest 48-47, declaring your winner by unanimous decision, Paul, the Soul Snatcher, Hilz.
And with me this beautiful Sunday afternoon, he is going to be fighting this upcoming weekend, October 12th at BYB 32, taking on Mark Tiffin at Super Middleweight. Give it up for Paul, the Soul Snatcher. Hilz, Paul, thank you so much for being here. How's it going today?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you, mate. Thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure.
So, first off, right now, leading up to this fight, you got it coming up on Saturday. How are you feeling going into this one? And Mark Tiffin, you're a guy that's got like straight up regular boxing experience too. So does he. And Mark Tiffin, I believe, even fought for the British bantamweight title there a few years ago in boxing. So now that you both are meeting in bare knuckle, it seems like it's built to be like a perfect matchup of, British United Kingdom guys, that this is going to be like a super fun fight.
Yeah, no, it's good. Mark comes. He I think he believes well in his power and his dominance in there. So he likes to come and, get busy straight away. And I'm the same. I just believe that, I'm just going to be too much for Mark. I really need to keep winning at the age I am and where I am in my career. I'm fucking game. I'm on it. I've put everything into camp like I do, and I'm ready to destroy someone.
And it's got to be it's got to be kind of affirming, or like when you're preparing for a fight like this, it's got to be just focusing on the strengths that you already have and all right, let's go in there and do what you usually do, because both of you are so used to fights not making the distance and for fights being, absolute wars. And so you both are going in there knowing all right, I'm going to exude the force that I usually do, and that this is going to be a bare knuckle boxing match in every sense of the word.
Yeah, that's it. I think this is why the organisation BYB sort of got the fight together. It's in Tiffin's hometown. So he's going to have great masses of support there. I'm travelling up from obviously London, so I'm the outside. I'm the travelling fighter. Don't give a shit about that. If anything, I like it. I do like it. I'm going to do a job, and I'm focused on a job that I've got to do. And I want it.
And help me out here a little bit with the British geography, because how I know that you're fighting out of London, and this fight is going to be in Leeds. How far away are those two locations for people in the United States that are not aware of this? And
it's 4 hours. It's 4 hours in a car. 4 hours there, 4 hours back.
So what are the differences that you've found? And obviously it's something that you say you enjoy. You don't care about fighting in front of someone else's hometown crowd. But at the same time, for people that might not be aware, when you're British and fighting somewhere that's, a distance away, what are some of the differences you notice with the home crowds?
I don't really take it in, mate. I'm pretty focused when it comes to my fights, and I've got a job to do. I'm there to do it. It doesn't matter who's around me, what's my surroundings. Inside that trigon, it's what goes on is what I want to go on, and it's irrelevant who's around me and what noise. I block out the noise.
And speaking of the trigon, in watching your fights with BYB and with BKB, It seems like you've got one of the styles that's absolutely tailor-made for the Trigon. No matter what is happening in any fight, you are steadily, progressively moving forward. So the Trigon has to be like a really fun thing for you in that it's just perfectly tailored to the way that you fight.
Yeah, I mean, I fell into the triangle work, the clinch work. I like. I do get work off in there where some boxers get a bit, they get a bit caught in the headlights there. I just don't. Bare knuckle is sort of like it's right for me. It works for me. Going over to BYB and the Trigon, a lot of people was a little bit anxious of it and seeing how it works, but I just got straight on with it. I went out to Miami and obviously fought out in America for you guys, yeah, I liked it. I loved it. I've had the Trigon fight back in England, and then I've had obviously the last Trigon fight as well. So I've got some experience in there now.
And so, what is exactly like your history in combat sports leading up to when your professional bare knuckle career started, at least with BKB back in 2019?
I didn't start boxing until I was 28. And then I had a bit on the unlicensed scene over here, which is just sort of like, small shows in nightclubs type thing. I had quite a few fights and I was quite successful in that. Nicked a couple of little, just local belts. And then I moved up to professional when I was 34, just to sort of, push the boundaries. The British Boxing Board, that they knocked me back from my professional license due to my spine condition. So I took them to court and got a hearing for it, and I managed to get my professional boxing license. And my goal was only to have one fight professional, but I ended up having 6. And then I retired for 2 years and didn't really know what to do with myself. Still felt I wanted to compete, and then BKB contacted me, and now I'm on my 16th fight.
And this is the crazy thing too, like with the history that you just gave, is like if I was going to tell somebody, if someone, or if in the dictionary they were gonna have like a picture next to the definition for bare knuckle boxer, I think that you'd be one of the candidates. Like you're a real throwback to some of the earliest origins of bare knuckle boxing, which is like really as a combat sport at the professional level, really is like closer to 200 years old than it is to 100 years old at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite gladiatorial, and I do love that aspect of it. And it really doesn't matter what you think you've got in there; you'll find out exactly what you're made of, and I love it. That's an attraction for me.
And so, since you picked back up, after traditional boxing, and then you got contacted by BKB, what was it like working with BKB through that stretch? I mean, in your first 5 fights with BKB, you went 4-1, so it
Yeah.
was a fantastic beginning stretch. And you have a lot of fights under the BKB banner. So before all this other stuff that we'll get to in a second, business wise, that ended up happening, what was kind of the environment of BKB, and was it enjoyable for you as a fighter where you're from to be fighting under a promotion that was showcasing the country's best bare knuckle boxing talent?
Yeah, I mean, I was always up against the odds because of my age, and obviously, we didn't really know where we was going with it. I didn't really know, if the shoe would fit, should we say? And I just fell into it. Bare knuckle is life to me. It's something that I've got hold of, and the sport's got hold of me, and I've got hold of bare knuckle, and I'm going to be pushing. I mean, I'm 43 now, and I guarantee you, till I'm 45, I will be pushing and pushing for improvement, not just here to make numbers or fucking have a fight and get a pat on the back sort of thing. I don't give a shit about all that. I want to make something. I want to leave a legacy for my children to look at and be proud of.
And this is the crazy thing too about bare knuckle, is a lot of the general public, when things like BKFC and BYB and stuff were coming, more to the forefront, people obviously have like their reservations about bare knuckle, and they think that it's brutal and like much more dangerous than any other combat sport. Really, it's the safer aspects of bare knuckle that allow people to continue bare knuckle boxing and improving in the sport up until their late 30s and their 40s.
Yeah, the only thing is, it's definitely positive on that side of things. You get more concussive blows, you get more punch drunk with gloves on. That's a proven medical fact. But cosmetically, obviously, you've got to kiss goodbye to if you think you want to keep your looks, because it's ruthless. You know what I mean? It's ruthless.
And so now, like, I remember too, this is a dude that I had on this podcast a while ago, Matt Phillips of BYB, who actually he was kind of like a younger MMA guy, but then he kind of transitioned to bare knuckle and like kind of ran
I
with it.
fought him.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm thinking
Yeah.
about it, because I watched that fight and it was a fantastic matchup. But that's a guy that's like a younger guy that kind of got into bare knuckle, transitioning from MMA in the modern era of bare knuckle, where all these things were kind of like in place. What did
Yeah.
you notice that, like, if anything, are some of the differences between some of the guys you fought in the UK scene that are more traditional bare knuckle guys, and then like the young prospects of the sport, like Matt Phillips, who you fought?
Well, even Phillips and Alzino, when I fought him in Miami, a lot of the use Americans are based with your wrestling from you, like from young in high school, and I think it does sometimes in that clinch. The range that you use guys get hold of is a lot more tactically, beneficial than what we do. We get hold of you. We get hold of you to sort of like fucking, rag an arm off sort of thing. Where you Americans seem to, when you get me in the clinch, little touches do a lot in bare knuckle. And Alzino said to me once, and I've got a good relationship with him. I'm hoping we fight again. He's got a win over me, fight tonight in Miami, but I'm hoping we fight again. And he said to me, Hilz, he said, you do loads and loads. He said, but bare knuckle is hand-to-hand combat. And I sort of took away from that. I sort of took it and I took it on. I didn't really know much about it, but now I'm 15 fights in. I get exactly what he meant, especially in the BYB ring. It is hand-to-hand combat. It's not a boxing match. It's hand-to-hand combat. And taking that aspect into my fight, like with Johnny Lawson, I think it showed the clinch work that I fell into. Even though, listen, I only won it on points. It wasn't like it was a fucking, dominating performance, but it was good enough, and I was a little bit better on a lot of the countering and the inside work, and that's what that's what gave me the point win, So, I've got my head around it now, but I do think you Americans are based on that through your wrestling things. It's that thing of where just your body against body, I think is totally different. In boxing, you're taught over here that it's your feet. Your feet keep your distance. Your feet keep you safe. Your feet get you into the exchange and out of the exchange. Where I think you Americans have been like, your clinch work will get you where you're working, and then your clinch works will lock people up to keep you safe. You get what I mean?
Yeah, and like in BYB, it seems like you're more likely to face some of the guys that thought like you did it first about how the way to approach the fight. But even with BYB now, and especially with BKFC, the guy, so many of the matchups that you might end up getting are people who crossed over from boxing, from MMA, and so those are skill sets you got to learn to deal with.
It's a totally different. Bare knuckle's totally different, mate. Bare knuckle, it's just totally different. It's the range, the damage that a single shot will do, and not even a damaging shot. But when it comes to your cut rate, it can end the fight.
And that's kind of what I meant before about you, is like, you are a bare knuckle fighter, and like bare knuckle is different than everything else. And like the way that you fight, the way that you approach fights, you are like bare knuckle down to the core.
Oh, I appreciate that. That's a really positive comment. I really appreciate that.
No, like for sure. I don't know how anybody could watch you and think anything different, And Johnny Lawson, that last fight that you had August, not even that long ago, that is a fight that you have to think displays some of the growth that you're capable of at this stage in your career. Because before, fights were either getting stopped or you were stopping them. And
right, yeah, definitely.
This was a fight that you were able to win over the course of the distance, which is a great thing to be able to add to your repertoire.
Yeah, especially at 42, mate. Definitely. I was like, people think maybe they think you won't have the fitness, maybe they think you won't have the brains to be able. Because I didn't even receive a cut. That's 15 minutes of fighting. Normally, even if I've won in 30 seconds, I've got about 5 cuts. And in that fight, I didn't get 1 cut. So I must have been what we've worked on. And that is what we were saying is, I'm good to go. My engine's good to punch the fuck out of you for 5 straight rounds, 15 minutes flat. But the thing is, when I'm getting damaged in them 15 minutes, I might not be in there to be able to punch it for that amount of time. So this is what we've took back to our training. And you know, I'm not saying that, you know, it's fucking solved the problem, but it's definitely put something in me now that I know to not, you know, to not have that sort of like exposure of losing just because I've been caught, you know?
Right, and like because so many, you're such a a guy that's proven your finish proclivity has been like well demonstrated over the course of your career. You know, you just need one good exchange to get somebody out there if it really comes down to it. But your damage really accumulates over the course of the fight. And
Uh,
so if your defense has improved to the point where it just gives you a few extra minutes, because that's in watching your fights, the thing that the commentators were always the most critical of was your defense,
yeah,
because you were throwing hard punches, you were hitting people with it, but you had to take a lot of damage in the course of that.
that's right. That's right, mate. That's right.
So after BYB ends up buying BKB, and you had been on a couple of those really sick like BYB versus BKB fighting cards, and I love that kind of crossover promotion, whether it's in boxing or it's in MMA. I think it needs more of it. People love to see it, people love something versus something cards, and those were always really awesome. That was where you fought Matt Phillips. And so what has been your kind of impression of the bare knuckle business? Because there's BKFC, which is obviously probably the most name recognizable bare knuckle organization, but
Yeah.
then KB was so respected for so long, and BYB has been on a very strong rise over the course of the few years. They've got Mike Goldberg, they've got Dada 5000 as a backer, they've got former UFC heavyweights fighting under the banner. So what has been your impression on the business side, and just for your convenience sake as a fighter and how you're treated since BKB was acquired by BYB?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, because obviously the transaction across the water is brilliant, and it obviously leaves it open that there could be possibly a fights in America. And for me, at my age, and already fought it out there once, and then with the potential to fight out again, it's brilliant. It gives me a new breath of gas, and I want to push and push, and I want to impress Mike and the owners, and I want to keep impressing the BKB fans so they keep following me through the BYB journey as well. And I love the fact that it opens up loads of different fights for us, and obviously we're going to get the opportunities. And I've made this stint, I'm 15 fights in. I've got, apart from the last fight with Johnny, which was a points win, other than that, I had 100% knockout win ratio, which is not a lot of people have got that in bare knuckle. And yeah, I'm going to keep on pushing, mate. And the BYB forces a more dominant performance, and I think it suits me. So I'm looking like at the crossover as a sort of like an injection into my career. They're great to work with. They really do. The fighters feel like we're creditable. Yeah, we're credited by them, if you get what I mean. We're not just used by them. Yeah, we just want to push forward.
And before, I'm sure you had your niche following at the very least from where you're from in England. But the BYB acquisition, or fighting even in those crossover events, has to have been good for just in this point in your career, exposing you to a greater audience, because BYB is, at the very least, very strong in the southeastern United States. They do great events in Louisiana.
Yeah.
And all of that stuff. So at this point in your career, when you're trying to get the most out of it, being exposed to a whole other, group, a whole other set of, audiences and demographics has to be a cool thing.
Exactly that. Exactly that. You hit it straight on the head there, my man. Exactly that. And it's things like I say, I don't do it. I don't need no sort of I'm not after no glory myself. I know exactly who I am and what I am, sort of thing. But it's great for my children at the young age to see that, daddy's been signed with an American company. And it's all to do with, TikTok and Facebook and YouTube with the kids. And they see me, they come down to me and say, "Oh, Daddy, we just saw a video of you being put up by this." And it's just great for them. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, it's great for me. I'm an old man out here. I'm under no illusions. I don't think I'm some fucking, whatever. I don't think nothing of myself, mate. I'm just me. But to see that my journey and me pushing my boundaries, is now a knock-on effect to my children at the age of where they're seeing a bit of hype that's being built. It's just it's great achievement. It's great for them. It's great for myself,
I mean, it's got to be awesome for for how you just put it. for knowing exactly where you're at in your career and having like realistic expectations of what you want to get out of it. It's got, for what you're talking about, enjoying getting out of it at this point. It's got to be cool that there's someone in Lafayette, Louisiana who might be like, oh my God, like Paul Hills, that dude's an animal.
Yeah, that's right. No, it definitely is. I've got quite a good following from America, mate. I did even before I fought out there. I was sponsored by a guy out in my America, and yeah, he was to say, he was like, you're an animal, dude, and all this, and it was great. And he's a jiu-jitsu fella, and he runs a jiu-jitsu gym, and it's just yeah, it was great to have that, like, it's just that knowledge of people knowing the game, and then me being a name that's mentioned in the worldwide bare knuckle scene, you know.
And so, like, with all of that you just told me about, how you see yourself, how you see your fighting career, and all of that, for what you think you have left in the tank, are there any fights like are there any like hallmarks or like milestones of something you would like to accomplish, or somebody in the UK boxing scene or someone in America that you've always like thought like that would be a fun matchup for people to see, and I think that I think I can win that fight or whatever it might be? Has there ever been anything in mind like that for you?
Not really. I always want to keep pushing forward, and I believe if you go to certain things or go to rematches that you might have lost, you're sort of treading over old ground. I'm not a glory hunter, so obviously people say, "Yeah, I want to be this champion with a belt, with a belt, with a belt." Obviously, I fought for the British title a few times, but I fought Barry Jones for one, and I lost on points to Nathan DeCastro for two. So it's not, it's not exactly. I've got no shame in both them losses. Barry Jones is obviously, an absolute one of the world's best ever bare knuckle boxers there is, and Nathan DeCastro is a great bare knuckle fighter as well. So there's no shame in them losses, and they are champions, if you get what I'm saying. But I would obviously jump at any chance to fight any champion, because of that thing of, it's a puncher's thing, and I'm going to go in there with bad intentions, and then bad intentions means that I'm going to be raising that belt. So yeah.
So what do you think about what do you think bare knuckle, if it continues to grow like it should, through BYB, BKFC, and any other organizations out there, because I'm sure some new ones are gonna, pop up here over the next decade. What do you think a really good, healthy version of bare knuckle boxing looks like in 10 or 15 years?
I don't know. I don't know whether they're going to go for the mainstream just because of the blood, like literally visually because of the blood. I don't think people get their head round. I think society's getting less barbaric, and obviously bare knuckles always going to be as barbaric as it is. So I think that the authorities will always try to put some sort of lid on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's because it seems so simple to just explain to people, like, nah, like, these are the dudes that are in it. They know what the risks are, but
Yeah.
like everybody enjoys it.
Oh, it's safer. It's safe for this. It's safe for that. But then when you watch 30 seconds of it, there's not one person that thinks, "Oh yeah, I agree with that." They go, "Oh no, I don't want to see that." Like.
I know like dudes that are like big sports fans, and they'll see stuff like that, and it's like, oh Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
And it's
turn it
oh
off.
God.
Yeah, that's right. Big ass dudes that will crush your head like a pea. Yeah, they don't want to watch a round of bare knuckle boxing. Yeah, mate, I know. Listen, I was like that when I used to watch it and hear the bone on bone noise. I was like, who the fuck would want to do that? Now I love it. It's the only thing I do.
Well, all right. So you got this fight coming up with Mark Tiffin this weekend, BYB 32, going down in Leeds. We talked about how you're feeling going into it, but anything else that you want to say? So, folks, first of all, tune into BYB 32. If not for anything else, watch Paul Hills take on Mark Tiffin at super middleweight. It's
Hold on, I just got to reword that. Watch Paul the Soul Snatcher Hills destroy Mark Tiffin. That's what we're about, brother.
You heard him say it, so fill in the blank there. Tune into BYB 32 this upcoming weekend on October 12th. Thank you so much for Paul Hills, the Soul Snatcher, for being here today. And Paul, if you have anything else that you want to say or anybody you want to shout out, the floor is yours.
Yes, please, guys. Right, one thing I must do is thank Murray Recycle Limited. He's a sponsor that stuck with me in these last few camps. and he's really like BYB, give us the injections to keep pushing forward. Murray Recycling has done that as well by financially supporting us and helping us out on a personal level as well. I can't thank the company enough and the owner enough. Like Murray Recycle Limited, please hit them up with any of your recycle needs in Essex and London. A great company and a great person, and I'm really pleased to have their backing. Also, we've had an American company jump on for the end of this camp, which I appreciate from my heart and my team do, and that's Clue Tobacco pouches, US. And they're a great brand. If you check them out, they're on Instagram and Facebook, and they've jumped on this camp, so I'd like to thank them. We've got CMOS Professional, which is CMOS Gel. He supplies me for my nutritional benefits through camp. And BoxFit UK. That's for all my kit, and as you see, the Soul Snatcher merchandise, that's what they design and make for us. I'd just like to thank them. And obviously everybody that follows me, even if it's not financially or, you know, buying merchandise, even buying tickets, even just following me on social media. If you watch my posts and you get something from it, you see me keep pushing, you know, let's all keep pushing, let's all keep improving. And I'll do it by knocking people out in bare knuckle. And I hope everyone else does it just by improving yourselves daily, all right? And thank you for having me again, my man, all right?
Oh, for sure, man. This was a fantastic conversation. Folks, thank you so much for listening to another interlude episode of Tap That, RotoBaller's official MMA podcast. Follow me on Twitter at RotoBrady. Follow the podcast at Tap That MMA Podcast on YouTube and Spotify. Go out and find Paul the Soul Snatcher Hilz and all of his social media. Give him a follow. Give this guy some love. And Paul, thank you so much for coming on today. This has been great. The best of health and luck to you moving in forward this upcoming week. And I can't wait to see what you do for the remainder of your career, man.
Thank you, mate. Thank you.
Folks, thank you so much for listening. Enjoy your Sunday. Looking forward to another UFC event this upcoming weekend, and peace.